Rivian CEO has come out and said that the cancellation of the $7,500 EV tax credit is a big win. Now, he's given his reasoning for why getting rid of this tax credit for buyers is a really good thing, but I completely disagree with him. In fact, I think he's been an excellent CEO, but in this case, I strongly dislike these comments. And I'm curious to know how you guys feel. YouTube's new algorithm means that you're often not getting all of our videos in your feed. Pretty sure you're probably not seeing a lot of them. In the description, there is a link to our newsletter. Click on that and you can get an update every day of all the latest news in the electric car industry. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Rivian is saying that getting rid of the EV incentives is great because that means that legacy automakers have scaled back their EV plans and, well, as a result, they've also cancelled some of their EV projects completely, which is not good. In fact, this is very much not good for the entire EV industry in the United States and in, places like Canada and probably Mexico as well. The ending of the $7,500 federal tax credit for EVs at the end of September definitely took a big toll on the industry in many ways. And sales also suffered. Many prospective buyers pretty much rushed to take advantage of the tax credit before the cutoff date, which makes sense. As a result, sales, well, they nosedived in October. They were down by about 60%. Some legacy automakers have now decided that their EV strategies have to change. General Motors, Ford, Kia, Stellantis have delayed projects, which to be honest really means that some of them have been cancelled. And they've also been affected by import tariffs. So Kia and Stellantis and Ford have delayed until further notice or straight up cancelled upcoming battery-powered cars. Rivian, though, well, they're saying that's great for them. It might be good for Rivian, but it's not good for, well, air quality in the United States. It's not good for technological innovation in the US. It's not really good for the economy in the United States. It's not really, it's a lot of negatives here. Anyway, Rivian says, hey, great news for them. They've never built a gas car in their history. And so therefore, this is an advantage for them. They say, though, that even though the incentive allowed them to lease EVs more affordably when they were up and running, now there's a different approach to doing business. And it's because there is therefore going to be less competition for them. Speaking at the Rotary Club at Atlanta last week, Rivian CEO RJ Scaringe said the tax credit going away is beneficial for the company, simply because there's less competition now. I would say in the medium to long term, it actually simplifies things for Rivian, Scaringe said. Narrowly and myopically, through the lens of Rivian, it creates less competition. He's right, 100%. But the thing is, prices of EVs won't be forced down like they have been in Australia, like they have been in China, in quite a few countries that are open and have access to Chinese EVs. In those places, customers win big time. What this results in is you get much more affordable EVs and you get more range, you get better quality. Manufacturers are basically forced to innovate as well. And I think that's the big thing here that Rivian is missing. When you're in a more pressured situation, you're forced to innovate quicker and you really start thinking to yourself, how can we do better? How can we do better? You focus on that really, really hard and it forces innovation. That's basically what's happened in China. The company's head honcho added that some car manufacturers can no longer offer crazy lease deals for EVs that wouldn't otherwise sell. That's because the Trump administration eliminated the fines that non-EV car makers would have to pay if their lineups didn't meet certain emission standards. In other words, Rivian's saying Trump coming along has been great for them because he's gotten rid of air emission standards and fines for breaking those standards, and he's gotten rid of the EV credits. I think Trump coming in that sense has been disastrous. But anyway, EV-only companies like Tesla and Rivian raked in hundreds of millions of dollars by selling regulatory credits to legacy automakers. But traditional brands that happen to have battery-powered models in their portfolio would also get regulatory credits from the government. If you saw an electric car from another manufacturer with a lease rate of like $39 a month, it was really disruptive to the marketplace, said RJ, because it would drive consumers to behave in irrational ways or expect irrational things. And so that's all going to go away. You're going to see a lot of manufacturers step back pretty aggressively from electrification. a lot of manufacturers are going to step back pretty aggressively from electrification in the United States. And that's really bad for the US automotive industry because they might be doing that, but the rest of the world is not. This year, the rest of the world, EV sales are up 48%. China, they're up nearly 30%. Europe, they're up more than 30%. So if the US is not making EVs and not really focusing on it, they're just falling way behind their rivals. RJ Scaringe, though, that said, is adamant that legacy car makers should not scale back their electrification efforts because they'll find themselves in a very tough spot a decade from now when they will need EVs in their portfolio. I think every manufacturer needs to be developing world-class leading tech in what is undeniably the future state of this industry. And throttling back right now will make it extremely hard for those companies to participate in the 2030s. If you look at the competition that's coming, particularly from China, where companies are not throttling back. If anything, they're throttling faster. As for the long-term impact of the federal tax credit cancellation on the whole of the American EV industry, Rivian's founder, well, he said this: there's a short-term impact from that, but I do think in the fullness of time, it doesn't change any of the outcomes. In other words, he's saying, eventually, the entire global automotive industry will be electric, even if the United States is slowing down the transition. Do you agree? Guys, let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks for watching.